Hey everyone, Austin here again with another quick play. Today we're continuing our October and spooky themed videos with Castlevania Bloodlines for the Sega Genesis or Megadrive. Fantastic Castlevania game. I actually haven't played through this entirely on my channel in I think a couple of years now. I think it was probably back when the Castlevania collection came out on modern consoles. We are actually playing this on replicated Genesis hardware called the Mega SG. That is how we were playing this. Very crispy image. It looks super sharp. So we're not actually using software emulation for this one like with the Castlevania collection. But yeah, we're gonna go through the whole game. I guess for a twist, we are going to play on the normal default difficulty level. Unfortunately, you do not get the full ending when you play on the normal difficulty. You get a partial ending. But for anybody curious, I actually have multiple expert mode playthroughs with both characters. Castlevania Bloodlines does have two characters that feel pretty different from one another, which helps with replay value. But yeah, I've got some old videos, expert mode playthroughs if you want to check those out. Maybe I'll link them in the cards in the top right. So click those if you want to check those out instead. But yeah, we're gonna just kick back, relax, and see if we can go through Castlevania Bloodlines, hopefully without continuing. It has been a little while since I played this game, but personally speaking, I do find Bloodlines to be one of the easier Castlevania entries in the series. Like, it's still a challenge, don't get me wrong, like, especially on a first play when you don't know what's coming up. But once you get into, like, a rhythm and a groove and you learn the level designs and how to deal with each enemy, like these guys right here, they jump and, you know, they can be a little annoying to deal with. Once you figure that stuff out, I think the game is a breeze. And, yeah, it's just a good, fun game, though. Like, it looks nice, it sounds great. It's just a phenomenal Castlevania game. It's one of the best linear Vanias, if you ask me. So, and one that I don't think quite gets the love that games like Rondo of Blood and Castlevania 4 gets. It's up there with those. It is so good. Highly recommend this game if you have not played it before. It is phenomenal. Top tier Castlevania and top tier Sega Genesis, just in a nutshell. So, but yeah, we're gonna go ahead and just hit the start button here. For anybody new to my channel, this is my quick play series. It's very, very quick and easy content, not really any editing or anything like that. We just kind of fire up a game, see what we can do with it. Some of these I've practiced at, some of them, like right now, I have not. But I have played Castlevania Bloodlines a lot over the years. I mean, I got my first copy of this game back in like 1995 or 96. A couple of years after it came out, it was like discounted to 20 bucks at Kmart of all places. Anybody remember Kmart? And yeah, so I've been playing the game ever since then, and it's just, like I said, I love this game. So you do have difficulty levels. You can unlock expert mode by completing the game, or you can enter a, I think it's the Konami code on the title screen. You got to do it in a very particular way. You'll hear a little jingle, and then you can come into the options menu, and expert will be available. You do have a sound test, and yeah, so that's pretty cool too. So we've got A is attack, B is jump, C is item. That's actually important to know. Your sub weapons are mapped to a specific key in this game, just like in Castlevania 4, because you can attack upwards and downwards in this game, much like Castlevania 4. It's more limited, but the option is still there, which is really cool. So what we're going to do is, I think we're going to play as John Morris, who's our whip-wielding character, and Eric Lacard is also here as well. He's got this huge spear, and they both have some unique moves that the other character doesn't have. Also, your whip or your spear will also can be upgraded into like a fire form, and when you do that, you get a special sub-weapon that is also unique to each character. Eric's special sub-weapon is, I mean, they're both crazy good, to be honest with you, but Eric's is just, it's amazing. So, but again, I've got playthroughs, many playthroughs of this game on my channel with both characters and on expert mode and, you know, stuff like that. So, if you want to see any of those particular characters, just go check out those videos. All right, there's a little bit of an intro, like with a lot of Castlevania games. So I will go ahead and just let that roll out, since there's not a lot of this in this game. It's basically this intro, and then that's it. But it's good stuff. It's dark, it's gloomy. This is actually a game where the Genesis limited color palette kind of benefits the game. because it allows for just really dark and like gloomy looking visuals. So I would definitely say Bloodlines is one of the spookiest Castlevanias, which is fitting for this month. I mean, just look at how decrepit like this castle hallway is, and you got these zombies, you know, walking towards you, and they got like these little dingy flies floating around them. It's just, this game is chock full of detail, and it's just, oh, it's phenomenal. You can jump on the staircases in this, kind of like in Castlevania 4 and Dracula X. And the speed in this game is just really nice as well. It is very nice. So yeah, you press the C button to use your sub weapon, and if you press up and C, you'll actually use more gems, and you'll do an alternate attack. They both have their uses. I do find the axe to be my favorite sub weapon overall in this game. It is just it's just a great weapon. It's huge, covers a lot of screen space, but it also has the forward attack option. Again, just like that, if you hold up and press C. Again, you can attack vertically, sort of. I guess just diagonally upwards. And you can also attack down, just like so. Now, that is pretty much it. You cannot go like straight up with your whip. Now, Eric can do straight up from a standing position, not jumping. I believe with Eric, I can't remember if he can attack diagonally upwards when he's in the air. I know he can attack diagonally when he's on the ground, and he can attack, he can do a down stab when he's jumping. I think that's, Eric is a little more limited in that regard. So John actually has a little more reach from a jumping position, which is very handy. Now, John's whip also allows you to latch onto ceilings and whatnot, which is actually really cool. Now, I keep latching onto this staircase in effort of trying to show it off, but just like that, you actually have a little bit of control. You can go all the way down, hit your butt in the floor, or you can, you know, you can kind of hold it up a little bit and kind of hug the ceiling. And that right here, that item actually upgrades my whip to my flame form. And there's some wall meat, which gives me some health back. And so, for anybody that hasn't played this but is a Castlevania fan, this game doesn't use hearts anymore. It actually uses gems, blue gems. So I have 40 right now. And again, pressing C will utilize my sub-weapons. And just look at how good this beefed up sub-weapon is. Although its homing properties don't seem to be that great. Where are you going? What are you doing? It does not want to cooperate with me right now. Oh, bad projectile, bad. So yeah, you end up using gems in this instead of hearts. And, but it's the same concept. You basically have ammunition. Hearts and other Castlevanias are your ammunition, and this, it is blue gems. But yeah, once you get your flame whip, basically what ends up happening is your sub-weapon changes to, you know, that super beefed up upgraded form. And there are some spots in this game where it's really good to use that if you can. Now, the sub-weapons in general in this game are actually really good. I really like the sub-weapons in this. I mean, even the Holy Water is not too shabby in this, especially its upgraded form. Not upgraded form, but its alternate attack, where you press up and C. Now there's going to be, I think, some more health refills right here, or a health refill. There you go, just like that. Just look at it, man. It's been so long since I played this game, I completely forgot how, like, just detailed this game is. It is just crazy. Very, very crazy. Crazy good. Extra life right there. I always remember that. And this is the lead up to the boss fight. There we go. That's one of the bone dragons we see in this game. We don't see... No, we see some bone dragons in this playthrough. Not a ton of them, but they are in this game. They're really cool looking. And very fast and aggressive. I'm gonna actually switch over to the boomerang here. It's actually a boomerang in this game. It's not a holy cross or anything like that, like it is in a lot of other Castlevanias. Now, one little trick a lot of people don't know about, you can actually hold out your whip and get an extra hit. Not really great on boss fights or anything like that, but it is good on bigger enemies that you'll fight later on in the playthrough. There's my up and C version of that. It's just very good. Does a lot of damage. This is a really, really easy boss. You can actually do damage too by smacking him in the face with your foot. Let's see if we can kill him like that. There we go, got him. That's fun. I mean, that's why it's there. It's there for you to play around with the that little ceiling tile. And I like trying to grab the orb, you know, as I'm swinging. It's really fun to do. Hard to do, but it's fun. Alright, so this does have a password system just like other Castlevanias, so you don't have to do this in one full sitting. Now, I always play Castlevanias in one full sitting. I can't remember the last time I logged a password in this series. I swear, it probably was back in like the early 90s when I actually used the password system for any of these games. So this is a good example where you can just hold out your whip, and you'll notice it makes multiple sounds. It'll go ting-ting, instead of just like one. And it allows you to kill these guys a little bit faster, and it also stuns them. Every time you hit an enemy in this game, it does like sort of stop them in place for a moment. And kind of gives you a little bit of wiggle room and you know, a little bit of a breather. Now, this is an auto-scroller, so we're at the mercy of the screen scroll. Got another axe, which will actually be good. Ah, no, I'll be fine. So if I go bop, 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 that's 3 hits right there. If I held out my whip, it would only take 2 hits, because I'd get a little tiny extra bit of damage. And so it'll end up taking less hits to kill these enemies. So it's a very good maneuver that when I like just hop into random people's YouTube videos or live streams, I don't see them doing the hold mechanic on the whip. And it's actually a lot more important than you would think. Extra life right there. Oh, okay. I don't want the water to go over my head either, by the way. Otherwise, I'll die. Or actually, I think I'll just take a lot of damage, but it's just a couple of hits, and then I'm a goner. So you'll notice that I already lost my flame whip. So what happens is if you take a hit, your flame whip, it goes away, and then you also lose the special sub-weapon that you had gained. Now, it seems like, you know, the special item that appears to upgrade to the flame whip is, it seems to be just based on, like, you know, how many gems you have, and then eventually, the upgrade will appear out of a gem candle after you've gotten a certain amount of gems. So we got some crows right here. We just go ahead and kill them. Look at that. Even the crows' dead bodies like stay on the ground. It's just insane. A lot of other Castlevania games, they would just disappear. So really nice attention to detail. Like I said, man, I forgot how detailed some aspects are in this game. It's insanely good. I'm a real sucker for just nice attention to detail. It's just called attention to detail. I just love attention to detail. It really enhances the experience. A lot of people will say, oh, it's always about the gameplay, not the graphics. I always say it's about everything. And if you can make everything as good as possible, you make the best games that you possibly can as a result. And you end up with games like Castlevania Bloodlines, or Castlevania 4, or Dracula X Rondo of Blood. You know, it's like games that most people, I think, would consider to be just top-tier games around the board, whether you're a Castlevania fan or not. You know, they're just really, really well-made games. Alright, so this part could be a little tricky because you do have the Medusas that are just constantly flying at you. Now, they're not quite as annoying as they are in other Castlevania games. You'll notice they do fly around a little bit slower. Now, they could be a little bit faster in expert mode. Again, it's been a couple years since I've done that, so I don't quite remember how irritating they are on the highest difficulty. Now, you have to be really careful because you don't want to fall into that water. Again, if it goes over your head, you end up taking a lot of damage. And if you don't see a floor below you, you will die instantly. It's Contra Syndrome. If you, you know, if you go below the screen and there's no platform, you die instantly. Even if there's supposed to be a platform just out, you know, just off the screen. So these guys, if I got the Flame Whip, I want to just duck and attack them. But if they're a little bit higher up, then I jump and attack them. Don't get too greedy with these guys. They can be a little irritating to deal with. So, yeah, just take your time. Use sub-weapons if you have to. Now, these bone dragons are a little more annoying in this game. When you attack them, it doesn't seem like they get stunned at all. And so what ends up happening is, well, they just end up shooting at you, and it's hard to dodge their projectiles. You can attack their projectiles, but you'll notice that like they turn around staggered, and so it's a lot harder to predict their projectiles. And they will both actually turn around to the same side of the screen. In earlier Castlevania games, bone pillars, one side faces one direction, the other side faces the other, and it makes it a lot easier to deal with them. You just get up and you just whip them straight in the face. But in this, it doesn't work quite like that. I'm gonna use holy water right here. Just get rid of this guy. Again, don't get too greedy with those guys, because you'll jump down, try to attack them, and they'll smack you in the face, and you'll get knocked off the ledge, and then you will die. Okay, there we go. Not too bad. Alright, lead up to the boss fight. Now, there's actually a fun trick you can do. Is you'll notice that there's still a staircase there. Well, if I really wanted to, I can go back up and I can grind out for gems. This is, if you're having a hard time with this game, you want to do this. Figure out the points in the game where you can do this. And if you grind enough gems, you will also end up getting your special weapon, your flame whip, and your special projectile. Do a little grind. And even if I don't get my my fire whip, I've got a lot more gems to work with now, which is nice. So we're just gonna fall down, and we're just gonna skip these guys. See ya. I don't think I can hit him from here with the axe. Ooh, I can. Ooh, just barely. Now, I don't want to fall down, because again, if I go underneath that water, then it will do some serious damage to me. So we have to bust this guy's rib cage? Not really. I don't even know what you call it. Very interesting boss design. Also really shows off the Genesis just sprite movement capabilities. Genesis was really good with this stuff. You saw it in a lot of Konami games. You saw it in a lot of games by Treasure in particular. So many different like sprite objects just moving around and combined together to make these big hulking moving objects, like a boss that fills the entire screen. Freeze frame! You can't even see me. Alright, 2 stages down. No password. Feel free to take a snapshot if you want to continue where I left off. You could use my password. Alright, so Leaning Tower of Pisa. This is a very interesting level because it's got lots of interesting just room designs. Alright, Fire Whip again, or Flame Whip. Ooh, those guys, unfortunately, they do dive down at you. These harpies. And we're gonna have some more of these Minotaur-like guys. There you go, just like that. Just get rid of them. You notice when I play this game, I do kind of alternate between the axe and the boomerang. They're both very, very good sub-weapons. And even Holy Water has its uses. But generally, I will stick with the axe or the boomerang. I love how the boomerang comes back, but it's at an arc. It's not just straightforward and back like in other Castlevania games. I really love how Bloodlines takes concepts from other Castlevanias and changes them up just a little bit. In a way, it improves on the mechanics. Those are peeping eyes. Okay, so this actually, you know, is an interesting area because if you were playing as Eric, you actually have to go vertically. Eric has this awesome charged jump attack. You hold down, and I think it's maybe, I don't remember, it's down an attack. I don't remember how you do it, but, ooh. That was actually some nice knockback. I actually didn't get knocked back, I got knocked upwards, so I ended up not falling down, which is great. But if you're Eric, you need to use his charge jump and go vertically. And so that room I just went in, you actually cannot access with Eric. And there are a couple of maneuvers, or sorry, not maneuvers, but a couple of areas in the game where, you know, a couple of areas of the game are different depending on the character that you're playing as. So that's kind of neat. Gives you reason to try the other characters. You see a little bit more of the game. Not a lot. It's not like we're talking like, you know, you're missing complete levels without, you know, one of the characters. It's not like that, but it's still pretty cool. Really fun graphical effect right here. This is definitely one of the areas of the game that people like to show off when they talk about impressive Genesis games. Apparently it's actually a really simple technique, too. But it's really cool. Okay, I'm gonna try to come over here. I think there's an extra life on the right-hand side. Somewhere on the right-hand side. Yep, extra life, so we have 5 lives. That's good. So far, a 1 credit clear is looking good. 1 credit clear basically being you beat the game without continuing. Assuming the game actually has continues. Not all games have continues. Yeah, I definitely prefer Eric's upgraded sub-weapon because it's more predictable. Basically what his is like just a flurry of like these fireballs that just spread out from all sides. But John's here is very unpredictable. Now, something I haven't explained yet is that this game does have different candle types, which is also one of those things where, you know, it's just a welcome design choice change? Quality of life improvement, I should say. I'm gonna actually try to waste this. Yeah, because I'd rather have my axe right here for these guys. But basically, you have weapon candles, and now you have your regular candles as well on top of that. Your regular candles have things like, you know, your gems and whatnot. But the weapon candles that look different have sub-weapons in them, so you know not to attack them. In previous Castlevania games, you weren't always sure what a candle was going to have until you played the game a lot, like repeatedly a lot. So this doesn't really require you to memorize anything. Oh, that's not good. Oh, that's really not good. I got knocked off the screen. And honestly, the boomerang is better for this part. I would actually rather have the boomerang. So I will actually pick that up. I did see one drop when I used my special a few moments ago. Now my whip is like really rinky-dink right now. It's not very good. But thankfully you upgrade your whip really fast in this game. Alright, I'm gonna stick with the boomerang and you will see why. Just like that. That's why you want to stick with the boomerang. Now these guys, the gems that pop out of them generally go towards the center of the screen. Unfortunately, I've only got 3 gems right now, so I have to be a little careful with my ammo. Another boomerang. Don't need that. There we go. They basically loop around you and then they dive bomb you. Just like that. So it's not that hard to deal with, you just gotta watch the pattern. I love that you fight the boss on top of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. I've always wondered how your character gets off of it. He goes all the way up to the top. Does he actually just work his way all the way back down? I don't know. Never really thought about it before. Axe is actually going to be better for this boss fight. And you will see why. You can always smack the boss once as he goes across the screen, and then you can get him again. Move to the right, otherwise you get smacked by his tail. Pretty fun boss fight. A lot of the bosses in this game, though, I will say, are more memorization based than other Castlevania games. The patterns are much more consistent and readable. Predictable. some of the earlier Castlevania games in particular, the bosses were actually quite random. Their movements were very random, which made them a lot tougher to deal with, especially on a first playthrough. But Bloodlines is one of those games where memorization is key. You memorize, then you execute, and then you can get through these bosses like with your eyes closed, basically. I actually do prefer the more randomized, you know, boss type, because it requires me to think on my feet. Like, some of my favorite bosses are in the earlier Castlevanias, like the Grim Reaper and, you know, Frankenstein's monster, because I have to play on my feet. Unless I'm using an exploit, like using holy water, I have to be constantly moving, and you know, with these boss fights, you don't really need to do that. It's more about memorization. It's one reason why some of the earlier Castlevanias in particular, Castlevania 1 it still holds up amazingly well, gameplay-wise. It's because you have to think on your feet. Unless, again, you're using some of those exploits I was talking about, or, yeah, I'll call them exploits. They're not really bugs or glitches, there's just how the mechanics work, you know. Castlevania 1, the holy water will just stun enemies. And it stuns some of the bosses, too. Actually, almost all the bosses. Holy water is kind of broken in that game, but in a great way. It just adds to the overall replay value. When you have something that is more rote memorization, I don't think it's as interesting to come back to down the road. Or not as frequently, anyway. Alright, so yeah, this is a little secret area. A couple different ways you can get to it. But again, how I do it is, I like having, with John, just kind of squeezing my way up there. And I think there's actually going to be some wall meats up here. Here we go. Now, I'm going to just kind of jump past this guy. It's actually, despite not having played this game in a little while, I still remember all this stuff like the back of my hand. It's kind of crazy. You know, it's just some games are like that, right? Where you've played them so many times over the years that, you know, the game just gels in your mind. Now, there's a secret down below. You can try to fall down and whip onto that ceiling down below, and there's an extra light, but then you have to whip all the way back underneath those conveyor belts. Extremely risky, but it's very fun if you can get it. I'm not going to go for it, because I don't want to repeat that whole section. You do have checkpoints in this game, so, you know, when you die, you do have to retrace your steps, unfortunately. So, I don't recall the checkpoints being too bad in this game, but it is something to keep in mind. More great usage of just, you know, sprite movement and the combination of multiple sprites together, creating these just big, larger-than-life moving objects. There's some slowdown here, though, unfortunately. A little bit. Pretty sure you get extra lives from points in this game, so you could, in some cases, you could actually grind out on enemies if you want to. Actually, no, I don't remember if you get extra lives from points. Let me pretend I didn't say that. I try not to say things that where I'm not entirely sure, or if I am not entirely sure, I at least, I make a disclaimer, basically. Like, you know, this may or may not be true. Like, don't quote me on this, but this or that might actually happen. And then a lot of times, I say that in a playthrough, and then we figure it out. It's like, oh, you do get extra lives from points. Because, you know, I end up getting an extra life from points. So, it is one thing that's kind of fun about doing videos like these, where I don't know every detail inside and out. So, speaking of Frankenstein's monster, he's got, again, basically, I think 3 or 4 different types of attacks. He does this ground attack. You want to just move over to the left and jump up on the not projectile, jump up on the platform. He does that one where he goes straight forward. Now, unfortunately, my sub-weapon is not doing a lot of damage right now, so it's actually better for me to use my whip. That is something you will find out about certain parts in this game, is your whip is actually really powerful. Alright, you don't want to touch these. You will die, I believe. I want to say you die instantly. These guys you can either whip, whoops, or you can use your sub-weapon. I like timing my attacks with my my whip. It's just satisfying. The whole screen shakes a little bit. Alright, a little bit of a tricky part right here. You have to come in and you have to duck. And then do it again. And again. Just inch your way forward slowly. Alright, good stuff. We're getting really close to the boss fight. I think there's another moving platform section here. And then we're pretty much at the boss fight, if I remember correctly. Alright, I'm gonna actually hit this guy from a distance. Because they can be a little dangerous. You jump in, and you get hit, you get smacked by their ball and chain. Especially that guy right there. Very dangerous enemy. On expert mode, I think you have to deal with bats on this section too. So you gotta deal with these guys, but also bats. So, very dangerous section on expert mode. Okay. That is not working. Alright, I'm gonna jump in. That was the way to go. Alright, nice. Upgraded whip for the boss fight, which is cool. Means I'll do more damage. This guy is just crazy. They're really cool bosses. This game has really cool bosses, I will say. Very creative. A lot of slowdown with my special on the screen. Alright, let's jump over here. Lots of slowdown. That's okay. Now you notice that, ooh, nice. Jumped over him. Very good. You notice that when my gems get too low, I lose my special sub-weapon. But I still keep the flame whip. So you keep the flame whip until you actually take a hit. So you could theoretically keep the flame whip for the entire game, if you can go through the entire game without taking a single hit. Which I'm pretty sure I've never done before. I highly doubt I've gone through the game damageless. And I'm not a fan of those challenges anyway. I mean, it's fun watching people do it. I can't do them myself. It's just way too much effort, way too much work. And just, like, you make one little mistake, the whole run is over. You gotta do it all over again. So, no thanks. I'll let other people kill their time with that. It's not for me. Alright, on to France. So this level has a lot of little gimmicks. Definitely a gimmick-oriented stage. So those flowers, the pollen or whatever they're releasing, well, actually, I think it reverses your controls. So I want to try to get rid of this thing. There we go, just like that. Alright, just smack that. We're gonna have a lot of blood skeletons or red skeletons, whatever you want to call them. And if you're trying to get a lot of points, you can actually grind out on these guys. You will get a lot of points. So it'd actually be a good time to figure out if I get an extra life from points. Ooh, took a hit. That was sloppy. And another hit. We're getting really sloppy. Let's see. So there are some Castlevania games like oh, Dracula, Akamojo Dracula X68000, or Castlevania Chronicles as it was known as on PlayStation. There are parts where you've got these red skeletons, and you actually do get extra lives from points in that game. You can grind out on them to get a couple extra lives. It's very handy. But this doesn't seem like it's happening here. I don't... If there is an extra life threshold, I don't know what it is. Alright. Oops. I used to know how to deal with these guys so well. Not anymore. That's okay. Nice little 1-2 combo there. Alright, this part can be a little tricky, especially when you don't have full health like I do. Some of these guys hit really, really hard. You can let these chandeliers just fall down and kill them instantly. Yeah, these are actually the Axe Armor Knights that you see in previous Castlevania games. They look much taller and they're much thinner in this game. You will notice that a lot of objects in this game, even your primary characters, are much thinner than other Castlevania games. They're not quite as bulky. Now there's going to be one with a sword here, and I want to be using my sub-weapons? Okay, good deal. Yeah, that's always the roadblock right there, is that last guy. And then you have to deal with this. And I might not actually survive this. I don't know, if I time this right, I might be able to. Okay. Whew. Alright, good deal. I think this is our checkpoint, too. So, another section where if you were playing as Eric, you'd have to go upwards. I think it is actually possible to go back. Yeah, just like this. So if I wanted to, I could try to grind out on these candles. Just get some extra gems. Nice, got one. Alright, so this is going to be hard without, well, I can't really take any hits at this point. One more hit and I'm dead. Now, if I was able to make my way all the way across, I think there's an extra life. Also, sometimes these guys drop meat, which is nice. But I'm not going to worry about it. Let's see, is that an extra life? Oh, no, just a gem. Interesting. I always thought it was an extra life. Alright, this is also going to be tricky without having more than 2 hit points. We are going to have some more of those bone gargoyles. Or whatever you want to call them. You can also just move up really quickly here. Just say hi and then bye to everybody. John Morris needs food badly. Quite badly, actually. I think he's got a, one of his arms comes out. Goes like all the way across the screen. Woo, got him. First try, very nice. No damage. Alright, I'm pretty sure this is our new checkpoint. But I don't think there's any wall meat here. So, we're gonna have to end up doing this whole section over again, I'm sure. There's no way I'm gonna beat the mini-boss here without dying, or without taking a hit. Definitely some funny enemies in this this hallway. Alright, boss time. Ooh, I'm doing some Castlevania 1 dodging right now, guys. Oh boy, I love it. Now, it is possible to just like attack them as they come out, which makes life a lot easier. All right, one more. Okay, we got it without taking a hit. I am actually quite surprised. And this is going to be the lead up to the actual boss fight. But I'm pretty sure this is my new checkpoint, so if I die here, it's not the end of the world. I'm definitely not going to be able to do this boss, though, without taking a hit. I'm pretty sure I will die here. Oh, then again, that's what I said last time. Having the flame whip actually does help a little bit, though, for sure. Really cool boss. I love the introduction. Oh, okay, that it almost ran right into me. It's giving me Grim Reaper vibes from Castlevania 1. With just how it's kind of erratic. And wow, we did like the back half of that level without taking a single hit. That's actually kind of crazy. I mean, it's not that hard, but regardless of how difficult it is, when any hit will kill you, you're gonna be on edge anyway, regardless. Alright, so we're on to our last level. This is actually a really trippy level as well. There's a lot of visual gimmicks which actually affect the gameplay. And I'm just gonna try to rip through the first section. I sort of have this memorized because, again, I have played this game a lot over the years. And for some reason, I never noticed Dracula's Castle color shifting there. These Medusas, you can just smack their fireballs. Oh, look at that. Ah, that's so cool. That is so cool. Alright, so this is very tricky. This really trips up a lot of people. I try to tell people to like kind of focus on the bottom, or at least focus on the platforms. Just hold right, and then jump. Just kind of like that. Medusa. You want to jump on the edges. If you jump on the edges of the platforms, you're pretty much guaranteed to land on the next platform. Alright, everything's gonna sort of center back out, just like that. Yeah, really weird first section. I really like it. And then this one, it reverses your controls. At least vertically. So you have to press up to duck, down to go upstairs. Now there is a boss rush at the end of this. I think we have to fight Elizabeth Bartley, who is spoken of in the early, you know, the introduction. We have to fight the Grim Reaper, or Death. And then we have to fight Dracula himself. And Death is actually a boss rush as well. You have to refight some of the earlier boss fights. Now what's kind of interesting about the boss refights is that you do a lot more damage, so it doesn't take nearly as long to rip through them. It's a good way of doing boss refights. A lot of people will say, oh, I don't like boss refights. I've never minded them if it's not overused. Mega Man X5 is one where it does it wrong, where you have to do all the boss refights again, but they're beefier than they were the first time around, so they take even longer. And they already took long enough as is. But Castlevania Bloodlines does the opposite, and by doing the opposite, it's, you know, it's much more manageable. Also, color palette changed too, which is cool. Wow, that one hit did 3/4 of his health. That's what I'm talking about. Alright, just move to one side of the screen. Pretty easy. Another side of the screen. Here you go. Alright, meat. It's a lot of meat. Alright. I think this is our gear boss. Back in the day when we played these on CRTs, you know, with RF switch boxes, I think I talked about this in my Castlevania quick play, OG Castlevania quick plays. You know, with the blurry screen, it was hard to see what some of those, like, it was hard to see some of the artistic details. But now that we've got, you know, modern upscaling, RGB, and, you know, FPGA consoles like I'm using right now, you can actually tell what, you know, like the cards that death comes out, you can actually tell what they are now. I always had to use my imagination back in the day. But right there I can see there's a tower with the dragon on top. Let's see how much damage this is gonna be. Whoo, nice. Nice. Good deal. No hits. That cloud effect was a little more convincing on a CRT, though, with an RF switch box. The lines would blend together. Alright, now we have to fight Death himself. He's actually pretty fast in this version. Nice. Damageless Death fight. I think they did make Death a little bit easier because of the boss rush. I like that red moon in the background, too. They did a really good job working with the limited color palette here. You know, lots of uses of, like, bright reds, pinks, purples, all sorts of blues. Alright, this is Elizabeth Bartley. And you basically have to just... Oh, that's right! She's good Medusa! I totally forgot about that. I think you can jump through that. Duck this. And then jump this. And then she tries to crawl at you for some reason. Alright, jump through that. Alright, good deal. Alright, so Elizabeth will appear on either side of the screen. The side of the screen she appears on, if I remember correctly, it's based on what side what half of the screen you're sitting at. So if I sit partway to the left here, she should spawn on the right. Like, guaranteed. One. Just like this. So you can actually manipulate this fight, which is actually pretty important because what she does is if you let her, she will shoot out these projectiles, and they're pretty much unavoidable. So I just wait. Once she starts moving back in, I move back over, and then I jump in. Then again, I'll demonstrate it the other side. So we'll be on the right-hand side now. Yep. So again, you can just manipulate it. Interesting boss fight. I'm trying to think of other bosses that are like this. Castlevania Bloodlines has some really unique boss fights. You gotta really give the game credit in that regard. Alright, last one. And then we're on to the final boss in the game. There we go. Great music. I love it. This one always gives me chills. Like, very few game tunes will give me chills, but this is one of them. A remake of Simon's theme from Castlevania 4. So what I'm going to do is actually grind out a little bit. Something I did not mention earlier is that Castlevania Bloodlines has no timer. So you can just grind out here all day if you want. You can get yourself your special weapon. And you know what? I think I'll be fine. Yeah, such good music in this game. I mean, it's another one of the things that this game excels at. Alright, so Dracula, I'm pretty sure I just have to jump and attack and have my whip come downwards, and I will basically destroy his projectiles at the same time. Oops, mistimed that. It's okay. Yep, just like that. Oh. So now Dracula's fight has a bunch of different forms. Alright, he turns into this little guy. And boom. Nice. That was cool. Alright, last phase. Alright, he's gonna change into a fire phase shortly. And then his last phase, he ends up tossing bones at you. This is like the fire dogs in Mega Man 2 on Woodman stage. Similar, very similar pattern. Uh-oh. Oh, that's not good. Alright, last one. That's a wild effect too, that whole stretch visual effect. It's not something you see on the Genesis really ever. And Castlevania Bloodlines is a standout title on the Mega Drive and Sega Genesis. Like, just, they went all out in this game and it shows. Oh man, well there you go guys, that was Castlevania Bloodlines. Hopefully you enjoyed this quick play of this game. Again, you only get a partial ending, but at least you get something. I think if you play it on easy, I don't even think you get anything. The resurrection of Dracula has been averted. And that's it. Again, if you played on Expert, you get even more. So, I don't really like how they kind of copped out on the endings, because the normal difficulty, it is still, you know, effort is still required to get through the game on normal. It's not like it's a walk in the park. I would have preferred like a long ending on normal, and then maybe something a little extra for Expert. I feel like that's the way to implement endings. I don't like it when, you know, you do like the normal playthrough, it takes you a while to learn it, and you just get gypped on the ending. So I'm definitely more of a fan of still have a long ending on the default difficulty, but add something extra on top, like, you know, cherry on top when you beat it on Expert. Or make it even longer on Expert. So, but, yeah. That's one of my only complaints with this game, honestly. I've been just raving about this game the whole playthrough. But if I had one complaint, I'd say it's the ending implementation. But everything else is phenomenal. I think this game is just, it's top tier goodness. right from beginning to end. It's just a fantastic game. I love this game. Felt really good playing through it again, by the way, because again, I haven't gone through it in a little while now, so yeah, it was good. I got it out of my system. Maybe I'll do an expert mode playthrough here soon. Not on YouTube, most likely, but just on my own time. Maybe I'll fire it up and see if I can do expert. There are some cool strategies on expert. You can grind up for your flame whip, try to maximize your special weapon usage, especially with Eric Lacard. It definitely is the easiest with Eric because of how much you can abuse his special. But yeah, guys, that is going to do it for me. That was Castlevania Bloodlines. If you're new to my channel, feel free to subscribe. I've got more simple playthroughs like this, you know, on the way. And I've got probably like 1,000 of them in the back catalog. I've got a lot of stuff on my channel. I've been doing this a long time. So if you like what you saw here, feel free to dig back in to my past videos and, you know, check those out if you're bored. Everybody else, thanks for your continued support. I will be back with another horror-themed quick play, probably next week, so watch out for that. And until the next one, guys, take it easy. No, I will not try expert mode.